The US election is getting closer and closer, but Mitt Romney is struggling to make any sort of real impact in the polls. He hasn't been helped by a leaked video where he seems to write off almost half of the US electorate. So, has Mitt Romney blown it? There's been lots of revelations in the last week or so, particularly around Mitt Romney being exposed with this video.
No matter what. All right, there are 47% who are with him, who are dependent upon government, who believe that they're victims, who believe that government has a responsibility to care for them, who believe that they're entitled to health care, to food, to housing, to you name it. That it's an entitlement, and the government should give it to them. And they will vote for this president no matter what.
Is it fair to say that Mitt Romney has blown it already?
No, I think it's not reasonable to say that. The polls are still very, very close. Obama has not opened up a huge and consistent lead, and I'm not surprised that he has failed to do so. His Achilles heel is the economy. Romney's Achilles heel is his shall we say, lack of good phrasing. It was a very foolish thing, he said, but I don't think it's going to hurt him with his core vote. And the question is how much it is going to hurt him with the swing voters.
But isn't it fair to say, you're right, that it's very close in overall percentage terms, but in the key states, the very close states, Romney has started to fall behind?
That is true in quite a few of them. The Republicans are still clinging to the belief that there will be a last-minute surge. In Missouri, for example, which is one of the most important of the swing states, even though it doesn't have a large number of electoral college votes, it's seen as a bellwether state. The Republicans are convinced that Obama is only ahead by 1 to 2 points and has really spent a lot of money in Missouri. And the Republicans believe that they're keeping their financial resources back for the last week of the campaign to blitz undecided voters, and that will turn things around. Now, whether that is the case remains to be seen, but you are absolutely right that Obama appears to be doing better in the battleground states than overall in terms of his lead. And the election looks like inclining to him at the moment, but I'm still looking at it and not seeing that wide gap opening up. Obama's economic record is hurting him. The economy is not showing much signs of improvement over the last few months. In fact, August was worse than July, and it remains to be seen what will happen between now and election day.
Is it the case that the party with the most money can just throw all their resources in a few states and that's enough to pull the party through?
Well, it may seem a national election to us, but in the United States it's really a 12-state election. The parties concentrate their resources in the states which are dubious. For example, the Republicans will not spend much money in New York and California. They've effectively surrendered them to the Democrats. The Democrats won't spend much money in places like Texas, Alabama, and Georgia and Mississippi because they are seen as red states without a shadow of a doubt. So it's in these 12 battleground states, mainly in the Mountain West, the Midwest, and parts of the Atlantic Northeast, where the election is going to be won or lost. And there, the thinking is that in a very, very tight election, money counts. The party that spends more money can swing last-minute votes. Now, that is the standard wisdom. Whether it remains with the reality in this election is unclear.
He does seem to be falling behind a certain extent in the polls. How much that is up for debate. There has been talk he's going to realign his campaign. Do you think there's something which will actually work for him?
Romney's problem fundamentally is that despite his gaffes, despite his claims that he has no hope of winning 47% of the people who don't pay taxes, etc., he is not a right-wing Republican. And what can Romney do is he can soften his attacks on Obama which appeal to the Republican base, but which don't really swing independent voters to him. Independent voters want to know what he is going to do. Now, what I anticipate that Romney will try to do is attack Obama less and spend more time explaining what he will do on the basis of his record in business and as Massachusetts governor. Whether that ensues the base is another matter, and this is the problem the Republicans have. They have a very energetic and enthusiastic conservative base, but it is not enough for them to win the election. And in appealing to the middle, how far do you go to the middle without not turning your base to your opponent? Because the people in the Republican base are never going to vote for Obama, but they may not vote at all, and Romney needs every vote. So for Romney, the situation is very, very tricky at the moment. I don't think he's lost it. I don't think that it's done and dusted, and we may yet see a turnaround. We can go back to 1980 and the Reagan-Carter election, where the lead swung from one candidate to another until the one and only television debate really pitched it to Reagan. For Romney now, the television debates are going to become critical. He has got to come over as somebody Americans can see as their president, and he has got to land some blows on Obama. Not negative blows, but showing how he would do things differently and better.
It's interesting you said that he's maybe going to look for the middle ground more, because in a way, isn't it more natural for him to swing more to the right, especially when he's got Paul Ryan as a running mate who is on the more extreme side of the Republican Party?
Well, that was the gamble that Romney took by nominating Ryan as his running mate. He was really playing to the right of the party, trying to maximise support and turnout on the right. But you cannot ignore the middle. The middle has become smaller in the US electorate, but neither party has a base to win it. You can only win it by holding your base and taking the undecided voters. Now, you might say, well, that middle has shrunk to such a point that it's a 45-45-10 nation, but the 10 will win it for you. Just to finish off, I know a few weeks ago you were predicting a very close race. Do you still think it's going to come down to a few states and a few votes? I still think that. I still think that the Republicans have a few shots left in the locker. There is a danger that the economic news is going to get worse. All this is going to hurt Obama. If I were the Obama camp and we were consistently 5% ahead, 5 to 7% ahead, I'd be more confident. But the lead has normally been between 1 to 3%. Nationally, I agree on the issue of the swing states, but these swing states are very volatile anyway, and you have to put a lot of resources. The Obama team has put a huge amount of resources into getting offices and people on the ground to get the vote out. That's their strategy. The trouble for Obama is that he is no longer the candidate of change and of excitement, and he does not look as if he is going to poll as well as last time, whatever happens.
Professor Iwan Morgan there from UCL, using all his expertise to analyse the situation in the US, and we'll continue to monitor the race to the White House. But for now, goodbye.